Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Welcome. Reb Mark Ashkenazi. He's here a few times a year. I'll say thank you to him. Barabim, during Ben Azmanim, he's the one that did all the camera work and all the tech stuff behind the scenes. Every shir, Erev Pesach, we did 3 shiurim. Erev Pesach. So me, I get all the cover that comes with it. He's behind the scenes. Nobody sees. So Yishkoyach Mark, Yishkoyach for all the chesed that you do. Emsa chesed. Sending gifts to Yisoimim, different things that behind the scenes make MDY what it is today. So Yishkoyach. We have with us all the way from Mitar 2 days in a row. Yesterday it took him an hour and a half to get here, even though it's a half-hour trip usually. But if you get stuck behind the cement truck, that's the road I was talking about yesterday. He came over after Shea, so he got stuck. Took him an hour and 35 minutes. Yeshua, what's your name again? Remind me your name. I'm very bad. What?
Ari Simon.
Ari Simon. You're shkoyach for coming. Who else? You're not new. No. Okay. If I'm missing somebody, is there somebody new? Somebody's hiding? Who? Oh, Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? Freddie Berkowitz. Wow. I bought a house from Freddie. The house that we have right now in Lincolnwood, I bought from a Freddie. You look a little different. You never lived in Lincolnwood. You never had houses. Shalom, where are you from? Staten Island. Wow. Staten Island's in the news these days, no? Somebody said something about Staten. Oh yeah, what's her name? It's news. Don't even. Yeah, you're right. That's what I was talking about. Tuvi Gordon Bennett. Dear Belly, I hope this finds you well. Long-time listener, first-time caller. You remember that? From New York. If you're in New York. Long-time listener, first-time caller. As of the time of writing this message, the new yeshiva have no idea what we're talking about. Internet, we had radio back then. I've learned 633 daf with Ya'al. I'm a chayzer b'tshuva. I like that. I'm a chayzer b'tshuva. I wanted to say sincere things for all of the throwaway eitzes and taimim that you dispense during the shir. Almost throwaway eitzes and taimim. They have a profound impact on my dveikus b'Hashem. There are things that you only learn growing up in a frum house, which I did not. Thank you, and forever go from strength to strength. At least I've a huge shout out. I don't know if this was written in Hebrew and translated to English or fakert. At least a huge shout out to my man, Biliak. Tzvi Spero. Yossi Klein, Punkt said, he didn't know I got this email from him. He said, this is the person, Tzvi Spero, he's sponsoring this, sponsoring that. So here's the email from him that Yossi Klein didn't know that was written. The subject is, yes, another You Changed My Life email. What a year it's been. Yes, you have changed my life. Before, my schedule during the day revolved around the normal stuff, work and kids, but now I do the regular daf, plus I just finished today brachas, plus Shnai Mikro. I've never made it this far. Never would have thought I could fit all this into my daily schedule, but it was just an excuse. If I can do it, anyone can. For years, my chavrusa Yochanan Itzkowitz told me, just try the daf for one day. I owe him, and of course, you're so much akar satov. Thank you for changing my life for the better. Tzvi Spero Yisher Koyach. This we don't need. This is Givaldik from a Belzer Chassid to the Honorable Magid Shir Rebelli Shlita. Words cannot describe the pleasure and feeling of participating in the shir in person, seeing Nachman Seltzer in action. Dr. Factor at his best, and the entire Olam each adding to the vibe. I'm not making this up. This is how he wrote it. As the saying goes, Einoi doimish mi'el. Although then I can't put you on 1.5 speed. LOL. A lot of people complain. They say the same things. First of all, you're taller than you look like on screen. The Beis Medrash is smaller than it looks like on screen, and you speak much slower than my 1.5 speed at home. As a Belzer Chussid, I travel over to Israel, and lately I've added participating in the shir to my itinerary. This last trip, when I came for Yom Kippur, I stayed an extra day to be able to go to Mekomis HaKdoshim and America's Daf Yomi. It's part of that. I had a Gevaldik Siyat Shmaya. There was an accident. He got here on time. Coming back home, hanging at the steps of my home was my welcome home sign, which I thought you would enjoy. Note the Rosh Tevis of MDY written on the bottom of the picture. Big Shabbatot is coming up, and we reserve Baruch Hashem looking forward. Oh, I'm not going to push the Shabbaton that more because we really don't have that many rooms left. I do want to say this. I want to forewarn the Olam. There's only 700 spots for seating in the dining room. 700. Last year we ran out, and there's a few tables in the hall. So I'm saying straight out, if you're from the first 700 people to sign up, and it's very, very close to that, you get to sit inside. After that, the tables go outside. Matzi Shabbos, Bezer Hashem, we're going to try to squeeze everybody into the hall. It's going to be a little bit not as rachvizdik like Shabbos. So, Bezer Hashem, we expect on Matzi Shabbos close to 1,000 people in the hall. We had another like 200 people coming for Matzi Shabbos. That's like the siyum, and people that couldn't afford it, couldn't come, or whatever the reason is. There's about another 150 too. So this year also. So if you want to chaperah, another reason why you should try to sign up now. People sign up every day. Baruch Hashem, 5 to 10 people are signing up a day, and we have like 70 rooms left, not out of 440. So it's going well, Baruch Hashem. You have been warned. Big Shabbaton is coming up, and we reserve Baruch Hashem, looking forward to participating and getting elevated. Last year, without mentioning too many names, but all I remember is one of the highlights of the Shabbos was that a certain couple was not happy because they were sitting, they reserved in the separate seating. There's a separate seating section for Hasidim and people that are makbid, so they reserved over there. They didn't like the matzah over there. They saw it was happening in the Litvisha, the mixed part. So they decided to sit down on somebody's table. So they were told nicely, hey, this is somebody's seat. Please go back. They said, no, we want to be over here. So Binyamin Klein and his wife, they sat outside. They didn't say a word, so we said, no, but no. They took our seat. We sit outside, and they sat outside for the meals. Ben Klein is a big tzaddik. Did I say Klein? Schwartz. I always call him Ben Klein. Always. Ben Schwartz. Who fixed that? That's what I meant. Ben Schwartz, the dentist. That's what he meant. That's what he meant also.
That's what I meant. Yeah, he's amazing.
You also, I mixed everybody up. Anyways, here's the thing. This guy's name is Leib Sternberg from Borough Park, Yishkoyach. P.S. I'm the one who came, and this is Chashav. I remember him because of this. I'm the one who came to the shir the night of my daughter's vart. His daughter was having a vart. He came to hear the whole shir. He sat and listened, and I called him on stage, and Yossi Klein made sure that I got a dose of bushes by having calling to the stage. So this is the sign Rabbi side. When he came home, they put this MDY character on the door, and it says, welcome home Tati, your family, and then it says MDY. MDY stands for, it says in small letters over there, most dear to you. MDY, most dear to you. The Koil of the month not. Mesechta, for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnassa B'revach and Yosef. Parnassa Kidnovations. Mark, you can't just get up in the middle of shir over here. That's not how it works.
They gave me Mesechta.
So they gave me Chelik Aleph. In honor of Elchanan Pressman and Fishel, should be a zechus for Akiva Simcha Ben Fayga, shidduch for Rivka, Yehudit Bas Yafa Chaya. And a thank you to Rebbitzen Stefansky for selflessly giving up her husband for the klal. It should be a zechus for a year filled with Mazel, Bracha, hatzlacha, Parnassa B'revach and Refuah. I want to give a big shidduch to my wife, who, together with Noam Fix's wife, they started a new committee. The committee to find the perfect cruise ship for the Siyum Shas, and they're on their first cruise today, and they voted it down, and Be'ezer Hashem, they're going to be going on many more cruises to find the perfect cruise. It should be a zechus for Akiva Simcha. I just thought about my wife. She says, I don't think this is going to do it. So I said, what, do you want to try? Yep, they want to try a better one, a bigger one. Okay, Yosef and Chaya, sorry for Parnassa B'revach. This might be the only cruise in the world that's 100% kosher from A to Z. Even the non-Jewish workers are not allowed to bring any non-kosher food on. I'm not saying it's the top hechsher in the world. They do offer mahadran and everything, but everything, all the rest, everything's kosher. Tzvi Spero, Refuah Shleimah. It's interesting that Rabbi Itzkowitz, Rabbi Itzkowitz is the older guy that sits like right next to Baruch Shafna. He after his shir, he says, I'm going on a cruise. I said, oh yeah, so say he went with his wife and his brother was here that day, Givaldik. I hope I'm not saying too much. Tzvi Spero, Refuah Shleimah for Itamar, Efraim ben Chai Blima. Parnassa B'revach Refuah Shleimah for Yosef Chaim Shmuel ben Alta Nechama from his grateful family. Art of the month. Did I skip something? Parnassa B'revach for Yosef ben Chaya Sara for Parnassa B'revach. Art of the month is zechus for rebellion. The whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many. Rabbi Isai, we're holding in this gewaldige sugya called Umdana. Umdana. Here we go. I'm pressing. Oh, now it works. Umdana. Umdana means somebody does something, says something, and we all know why and how, why he said it, but he didn't say it. Do we say, okay, we all understand why, and therefore we'll follow through, or not? So we have a machlokes. Yesterday we saw Rebbitzen Stefansky Manasseh. They told him, your son died. And so he said, okay, my son died. I have nobody to give the Yerusha to. So he goes and he writes the Nechasim. He writes everything to his friend. And then suddenly his son shows up. We actually have a shtickle video of this. Let me show you.
Moshe Schnitzelhofer, to whom you are bequeathing your property.
I would like to give everything to my son, but I think he is gone. So I give everything to MDY.
It's not good for you to get excited. There's something to calm you down.
אנחנו בבבא בסרה דף קמ"ז, והנה איתנו בזום, רגע, זה הבן של מוישה שניצלהופר שבזום. Okay, so here's a mice. He thought he didn't have a son. He had a son. He found him on Zoom. You never know who you bump into in MDY. People come over there when they sit over here, especially people text them. I saw you there. People make, friends that they haven't seen in 20, 30 years. I said all the time. So you never know. All right. So now we keep on going. So we have one Tana that says such a case. We all understood that had he known that his son is alive, he would have given him the nechasim. But since he didn't know, so he gave it to somebody else. So that's called umdana. Does it go to the son? According to Reb Shimon ben Manasseh, it goes to the son. Because it's obvious that's what he meant. Is there such a concept of being obvious in the Torah? Rav Sheshes Omar, and Rav Sheshes says, Reb Shimon Shizuri here. That's the one on the left. The what? They say very similar, but different. A guy is being led out to have the death penalty. They tied him, they used to put that metal around the neck, around the, handcuffs on the feet, on the hands, and on the feet cuffs, whatever they're called. He was supposed to say write the get and give the get. But he just said write a get. Now why in the world is he saying write a get to my wife if he's about to die in 2 minutes? Because first of all, he wants his wife not to have the whole problem of Yibum. But it's obvious what he meant. He meant give it. So why didn't he say give it? Because he's confused. He's discombobulated. He's about to die. So people say silly things when they're about to die. But it's obvious what he meant. Write a get means give a get. You could just give the nesina, even though a normal person, you wouldn't do that. But he's not normal. His brain is not working. It's not functioning 100%. And then they said, you know what? Once we're saying this, person who leaves town on a ship. Remember how it used to be in those days? Probably, 10% made it through. He's leaving, he says, write a get. What does it mean, write a get? Write a get and give it to her. Reb Shimon Shizuri, and this is the one we're looking for. Even a person who has a terrible disease, and he thinks he's dying, and he says, kisvu, he also meant tenu. So that's a umdana. And umdana, we understand what he wants, and we go with it. Rav Nachman, my time Reb Shimon Shizuri. Why does Rav Nachman not say like Reb Shimon Shizuri? Now that we have it on the screen, it's very simple. Reb Shimon Shizuri is the one that just said, Chayla Mesukon. We give the get. Rav Nachman picked Rav Shimon Manasseh that if his son shows up, he obviously didn't mean to give everything away if he has a son. It's because he said straight out, kisvu, obviously, write a get to my wife. Write a get to my wife means give her the get. Rav Sheshes, my time Rav Shimon ben Fayga is a beautiful umdana. He gave all his zechusim to his friend instead of his son because he thought his son is dead. Now he found out his son is alive. That's a great umdana. Says the Gemara, you're right, it's umdana, but it's too powerful of a umdana. This is called umdana demuchach. It's so obvious. No one ask a 2-year-old and he'll tell you, no, he meant to give it to his son, but he didn't think he had a son. We have another one. Sick person, and he's in bed.
And therefore what? Because it's so
so it's different. It's the opposite extreme. In a regular case, you wouldn't say that. It's umdana demuchach. It's more. It's too strong. Then, okay, a case like that, of course, it goes to the son. But what about shchiv mera? What about something else? Maybe we don't say that. Right. It's not a right to a regular umdana. There's an umdana demuchach that's so powerful. This is the case. You have a chayla. You got guys in bed dying. Like in the video. Who do you want to give? I thought that I had a son, but my son died. There's a very, very powerful story that when we were in Europe, and we're in the concentration camp in Medanik, and Rabbi Shapiro from North Miami Beach, he came with us. He was our official Rav, and he spoke beautifully everywhere he went. In this place, there's not a single person, obviously, that wasn't crying, and basically he invoked the emotion. He said over the story from Reb Nachman Seltzer. I hope I don't mess it up. I called him up yesterday right before Shir to ask him the exact pratim. Why didn't I call up Reb Nachman? I have no idea, because I heard from him. He's the one that told me on the phone that it's Reb Nachman Seltzer's story. So, but I asked Reb Nachman now this morning, and I got the thing. It's a very, very powerful story. There was a guy that was doing kiruv. He was on a flight, and he sees this yid next to him eating real treif. He started a conversation. He says, "Why? What's up with the treif? You could get the kosher food also. It's just as good." He says, "I do whatever the Torah says. I do the opposite." He shows him. He has numbers on his hand. The whole thing. He was in the concentration camp, and eventually he tells him the story. He says that he has a big taina on the Refuah Shleimah. He went through the whole ghetto and everything with all the tsar and everything that happened. And literally on the last day, there was a big commotion, and they separated him from his son and his wife, and he thought that's it, it's over, and they're going to be freed. And that last day, he saw them shoot his family, his son, his wife, the whole thing, and they fell in a pit or something, and it's all over. And it's tremendous. He says, like mamish on the last day. It's one thing if they did that on the first day, in the middle, but they went through the whole Gehenna and all the way at the end. On the last day, that whatever Hashem says, I do the opposite. So that was it. You can't really argue with somebody like that. He's in a lot of pain. Many years later, decades later, this Kiruv guy is walking to Shul on Yom Kippur, and he sees this Weinstein guy sitting at a bus stop, smoking a cigarette. So he goes over and he says, "Weinstein, you remember me from the flight years ago?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Yom Kippur, let's go into Shul." He says, No way. He says, "You told me about your son. What was his name? Yisrael Menachem. Let's go into Shul. Let's make a kel male. You never did a kel male for him. One kel male on Yom Kippur." So he says, "Okay." Throws a cigarette, and they go into the closest shul over there. They found the shul, and this Kiruv guy goes over to the Chaz and says, "Listen, we have a one-time opportunity over here. Here's a guy that went through the Holocaust, and he's asking him to come in for the first time in his life ever, to come into a shul, first time after the concentration camp, after the whole Muhammad, come in and say a Kel Male. Let's stop, let's make a little break here, let's do a Kel Male." So the Chazan says, "Okay, Kel Male Yachamim, whatever." And this Weinstein guy is getting very emotional, and comes to the time to say the name. He says, he starts shaking.
Kasriel Menachem, wenn ich Cheskel schrage, was hat gestorben, da Kiddush Hashem?
And the Chazan goes, Tate! And he faints. Chazan was his son. It's Kasriel Menachem. What happened was that the mother, when they were shooting, she jumped on him and they shot the mother. They didn't get him. And he didn't know for all these years. So, Nachman Seltzer told me when Rabbi Shapir told me it was in his book, I said, oh, Givaldi, because most of the stories, almost all the stories, he goes and he verifies. I don't know, did this one you verified?
From a bunch of different directions, I got that it's true story. Yeah.
Okay, Givaldi.
Also brought down, and also when the story Small Miracles, they also looked into it. They also wrote it, Small Miracles on the Holocaust. So it was brought down a bunch of places.
Okay. Did I mess up anywhere in this? Decent? Okay. Givaldi. So, Doimish Yeshli Ben, I thought I had a son. Top line of Kuf Mem Zayin Amud Aleph. Achshov she'eini ben nechosei leploini. But now that I know that my son was killed, he's not here, I want to give everything to my friend. Same story, the sick person is in bed. I thought that my wife is pregnant. I found out she's no longer pregnant. I want to give everything to somebody else. But at the end, the son shows up. Tate, all of a sudden, here I am. He finds out that his wife is indeed pregnant. It's not a matana. So this is perfect according to Reb Shimon ben Assi. Here, look, this is Reb Shimon ben Assi. The story, not Rabbanon. Says Gemara, no mistake. No, over here we don't have a machlokes. Why? What's the difference between this case and the case we started off the shir with? What's the difference? They're both the same case. No, they're both sick people in bed who thought that they had a son and they gave it to the son. Yet in the first case, Chacham do argue. This case, they don't argue. What's the difference? Afilu Temer Rabbanon, Doimeshani, because he says straight out with his mouth, he says, I thought I had a son, but I don't have a son, and that's why I'm giving it to somebody else. No, so he said straight out that if he does have a son, he's not, the first case, he doesn't say, I thought I have a son. He really did think he had a son. That's what he had in his mind, but it doesn't say Mefurish. So says the Gemara, okay, it's such a huge difference, and it's so straight out. It says, look at the first words of this Amud. Doime sheyeshli ben. He says with his mouth, I thought I had a son. I don't have a son. He was killed in the war. He's explaining himself. So of course, if we find out that he wasn't killed in the war, everything should go to him. What is the question even? What is the Havamina to say the Chacham would say differently? Says the Gemara about the same Tzari U'Dekamatke. The reason why he's explaining Doimish Yeshli Ben, I used to have a son. He's getting it off his chest. He's telling over a Maisa Shahaya. Not that he's making a condition in the giving of his property. He's saying over a story. Kachava. I went through the lager. I had a rough life. I this, that. Okay. And by the way, I'm giving everything to Pliny. Not because I went through the lager. Lager has nothing to do. There was 2 yeshiva guys. I'm just thinking about Mark Ashkenazi sitting through this whole thing all over again. I'm used to Benny, but Benny wasn't here yesterday. To say Mamish Mila B'Mila. I know. It's different. Mamish, you was here. The same story again, Chazara. Yeah. 2 yeshiva guys in Kol Torah. They were learning, and they had a good kasha on the sugya, and they looked up in the Rishonim, nobody talks about it. They found a sefer from an author that's still alive today, and they look at it and it's mamish geschmack. The guy asked their question and said 3 tirutzim. 2 of them they understood. The third teretz they had no idea what he was talking about. So they figured it would be a great idea to write the guy a letter, because they appreciated it. They thought it was cool. You know, you guys like to do that. Write back and forth with the author. So they find out, they see the address, they write him a letter. He said, we had a great kash in the sugya. Nobody discussed it. Thank you for discussing it. Two beautiful tirutzim. But what in the world did you mean by your third teretz? Half a year later, they get a letter back. Half a year, because until they found him, he was in a nursing home. He writes back as follows. He says, thank you very much. This is the first time somebody ever gave me a compliment on my sefer. I thought nobody looks at it. I'm so happy to find out that Yeshiva Bacher Minkol Torah, they learn my sefer. You don't understand what a life I had. I went through the Holocaust. I lost the family. I came back. This happened, that happened. The whole Megillah. The last line on the bottom, he says, and about the question that you asked me, the third teretz, I have no idea. I'm not holding in the sugya. Have a wonderful day. I thought it's a beautiful story that yeshiva guys, without knowing, they give a guy sitting in a nursing home tremendous chizuk all the way at the end of his life. He says, oh, finally my sefer is accepted. And by the way, this is the story of my life. People do that. They give you a whole story, a whole ma'isa. Why? Stop. I forgot the member now. There's a beautiful member that said, what is the most annoying thing that could happen to you? I'm making up the member now. You'll tell me exactly how it said. What's the most annoying thing that could happen to you? When you ask somebody, how you doing? And he tells you how he's doing. Just great, thank you. Baruch Hashem is the best answer. Shalom. How am I doing? Oh, I missed the bus, and I went, and I almost tripped, and then I came, and then it started raining, and I forgot to bring the umbrella, the whole thing. No, I didn't ask you. But you did ask me. No. Okay. Umdina de Muchav. Omer Reb Zera. Omer Reb Zera Marav. Minayin lemad shchimera min haTorah. How do you know this concept of shchimera? Let me just show you shchimera one more time because we're learning the sugya. You might as well remember it. This is the piece of paper I found. It was on my Gemara. So during Seder, I did a little piece of paper, threw it down, and I took a picture and I dared Yoshi to understand it and make a thing. That's why he put it here. Manas Bari, guy's very healthy. A normal guy giving a gift, you must make a kinyan. And once you do it, you give it, you cannot take it back. You say, oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. On the flip side of that, the exact opposite, is Mitzav Machmas Misa. We don't talk about it that much. We talk about Shchimera a lot. Mitzav Machmas Misa is the most extreme. You do it without a kinyan, but if the guy becomes healthy, Chayzer Boy. It's the opposite. The Shchimera is a guy that's sick. He's not 120 years old. He's 35 years old. He has a disease. He's very worried that he's going to pass on to the next world. So he's a Shchimera. So now it depends. On the one hand, he's similar to a guy that's very healthy. And on the other hand, he's similar to a guy that's dying. And how is he similar? If he gives partial, he doesn't give 100%, he gives 98% of his belongings away. So he's reserving in the back of his mind the fact that he might not die. So therefore, you must do a complete kinyan. If he gives it all away, here's a fellow that really, truly believes that he's going to die. So he's no different than a Mitzav Machmas Misa. He's going to die. That's why he gave away 100%. So therefore, he could retract. He could retract and say, no, he became healthy, he takes it back. So says the Gemara, how do you know this concept of Shchimera? How do you see it in the Torah? Says Taisvus, seems like he argues on the Rishbam. There's a Machlekes Rishonim here. It's not literally a Dairaisa. As we saw in different Gemaras, the Gemara says, oh, I could have thought it's like a Dairaisa. We had this Gemara just a few days ago. It's not a Dairaisa. It's an asmacht in the Torah. Where do you see a hint to it in the Torah? Shenemar, according to Taisus, according to Rishbam, it could be it's a serious Dairaisa. Shenemar, v'avartem es nachlaso lebitoi. Here's the pasuk. This is important because I did a new shtick here. I'm going to start using this idea in Chong Psukim, maybe, if I remember. Vel b'nei Yisrael tedaber lehem ish ki yom zuvein ein loy v'havartem es nachalasu lebitoi. The v'havartem es is extra. It could have said like this: ish ki yom zuvein ein loy kama nachalasu lebitoi. If I want to be stingy with words, I could just get rid of these two words. Vahavartem es. Nachlas the bitoy. So what do I do with these two words? First of all, I want to say Yishkoyach. My good friend, Shlomi Klein from Crown Heights. I use this every day for I don't know how many years already. This doesn't slip. It's slip-proof. So yesterday he upgraded it to this. Look what it says on there. It's beautiful. I don't know if you can zoom in. Now he says the color is because it's supposed to match my eclectic, eccentric ties that I wear on Motzei Shabbos. Besser sein a poshete Talmid Chacham von a geonische Am Haaretz. So I tried it out this morning. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like this wider one. So now he's going to send me a wider one. No. I got it. I'm going to keep this in my office. This one slips. Actually, on this, you know what? I could use it here. I'll use it.
This one doesn't slip.
Wow. For the days that Reb Nachman is not here, otherwise I see you a lot more than I see this. You have one. Wow. Wow. Nacham Ora Boys say besser sein a poshet Talmid Chacham via geoinish Am Haaretz. It's better to learn Daf Yomi than be a guy that only does Iyun but never learns. So says the Gemara, let's use it here. Meanwhile, it works. At home, it was a more of an angle. That stays. That also stays. Okay. Zog the Gemara. It's like Yerusha. Just like by Yerusha, it says, it goes from, there's no boys, so you give it to the girl. There's something similar. Veizu, what is it? It's like Yerusha, I give it away. So this is later on. This one was pasuk ches, and this one is pasuk tes. V'meiloi bas unesatem ez nachlos. Rabbi said, look what happens. Oh, those two words are extra. And I learned from there. Huh?
Start out and leave it in the background.
In the background. Okay, that I don't know how to do yet. Okay. Could you do it? Let's see how it works. Do it for a little bit. Show us later.
Wonderful job last night.
How come one doesn't use the other one's pasuk? We have two psukim, ches and tes. Look at the Rebbe, the Sanya Rebbe Yomer. We already used this pasuk. We had a whole sugi about this. Why in the world does the Torah switch the language from giving to skipping over havara? The only one that could skip over is a daughter. Let me show you the drawing here, and then you'll remember the Sibis Haben, Sibis Habal. You have a father who's from Shevet Reuven, you have a mother from Shevet Shimon, and she goes bye-bye, and she has a house. So the house goes from Shevet Shimon goes to her son, who happens to be from Shevet Reuven. The Torah tells us that works. So how come Reb Zera uses another pasuk? Think about it. The Torah likes to speak normal, like easy, not these chopped. It's kind of, it's hard to understand. No, this is normal. The famous story with Chizkiyahu. I think it's one of the famous lashonos in Shas. Very, very famous lashon. You guys remember? What did I? Huh? What happened was, here's the Gemara in Brachas, Daf Yomi Amud Aleph. Chizkiyahu didn't want to get married because he saw Baruch HaKodesh he's going to have Rishayim come from him, and the Navi told him, why do you have to get involved in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's business? You have to be Mekayim the Torah, get married. You have the mitzvah. What happens afterwards is none of your business. He didn't listen, so Vayavai Elav Yishayahu ben Amoitz, Yishayahu comes to him, Hanavi, Vayomer Elav, Koyamar Hashem, you should give a tzavah to your house. You are going to die, you're not going to live. So you see from here the idea of b'tzavah ba'alma. Just saying it, tzav, works. I have another source. Achitophel was a huge genius. Every eitzah he gave, the pasuk is made on him that his eitzah was mamish like words from Hashem. The thing is that he gave bad ideas. Some of his things were bad against David, against to making machlokes, but they were perfect ideas in the wrong way. So Achitophel told Avshalom, if you want to beat your father, go to war today. He's very tired. He's tired from war, and it's a time to go to war. Bring 12,000 people, wipe him out. So they didn't listen to him. Came David's person. What was his name again? I wrote it down. Chaya. Chaya came and said, "No, don't." It was a trick. Like in Torah, when you wanted to get something done, what do? Like dieting, what do? Right then and there. You don't wait. Once you wait, it becomes weak. They waited, and Achitophel realized that they're not going to listen to Zaytza. So he said, "Oh boy, I'm in trouble now." If they would have wiped him off, then his side would have won. So what did he do? He got his donkey ready. Vayelach el beisoy Eliroi went to his house. Vayitzav el beisoy. He gave a tzavah to his household by Yechonik, and he committed suicide. But tzavah ba'alma. So you see over there also, it seems like from over here that even a person who's not sick, a person that knows that his last minute is going to be today, and why? Because he himself is going to take his own life. That's also considered like a shchiv mera, and a tzavah ba'alma is enough. Just saying it. He's also confused. This genius and his eitzah is the eitzah. Listen what he told his kids. It's bana. First of all, al tiu b'machloikis. Don't get involved in machlokes. Look what happened to me. I got involved. It's like, no, Mark, what is it like? It's like that guy. I saw a great cartoon of a Hasidic Ingeman standing outside of the Bava Basra medrash. Everybody's diving inside, and he tells his kid, "No, go inside, go daven." So his kid says, "No, my Rebbe told me that I should stand next to my father the whole davening." Don't tell your son not to smoke when you have a cigarette in your mouth. It's not the best idea. But here he is, dying because he had a machlokes with David. He's saying, "Listen, learn from me. Look what happened. I'm not going to be around in 5 minutes because of this machlokes. Don't rebel against David." And this next line gives us a little bit of a sugya of Agadata. V'yomtev shel atzeres, and when the yomtev of Shavuos comes out, baru, the sky is clear, ziru chitim, it's a great sign they should plant wheat. Mazel Omar, balu Itmar. No, not when the sky is clear. The opposite, when it's cloudy. There's no machlokes here. Clear doesn't mean clear. And cloudy doesn't mean cloudy. If you have a cloudy sky, but there's a northern wind, just to be on the same page, when it says northern wind, it means that the wind is coming out of the north, but traveling in what direction? South, southerly direction. Okay. When it is the last day of Sukkot, when do we daven for Geshem? Geshem, that's when we daven for the rain. That's when it's the sign of the rain, not on Shavuos. So Yoshi did a great job over here. This is the bird's view of the Mizbeach, and you see there's a fire burning over there. You see? Do I need to zoom in over here? Okay. So that had a pillar of smoke that went straight up, right? That was one of the Nisim. But when it goes towards north, in other words, it's a southerly wind, it goes towards the north, look what happens. The guys on the right are happy, the guys on the left. The guys on the right are the poor people. They're the ones buying fruit. So they're happy because it means that the prices of the fruit are going to go down. The wealthier people are sad. Let's see inside. You look at the smoke and you can know what's going to be this year. Not the klab itself, and when it goes towards the north, in other words, the southern wind. The poor people are happy and the wealthy are sad. It tells us that there's lots of rain this year. Lots of rain means uperes markivim, there's too much moisture, the fruit doesn't last. So therefore the prices drop. Not the kalapi darm. So if prices drop, aniyim are happy. Not the kalapi darm. Let's do this. Check out the faces. All the faces change now. When it goes towards the south, it's the opposite. The wealthy people are happy. The poor people are sad. Aniyim said this. It's the opposite. Not a lot of rain, so the fruit lasts. Prices go up. Not the klapi mizrach. It goes towards the east, which means it's a western wind. Everybody's happy. That's why everybody's laughing in this picture. Klapi ma'ariv hakol atzevim. When it goes towards the west, in other words, it's the eastern wind. Everybody is sad. What's the eastern wind, Rabbi Isai? Everybody is sad. We just said eastern wind, everybody's sad. And look what it says in the Brisa. Eastern wind, everybody's good. It's a contradiction. My Rav is Loilam Kasha. This is not pointing to Ma'ariv. It's coming from Ma'ariv. It's a western wind is bad. Mamish a contradiction. You need to. So he did another Gevaldika. Here, we don't have to do the whole thing here. Let me just show you this. Eastern wind. Okay, let's get to here. So, if it's a ruach tzvainis is good for wheat, bad for grapes. Olives, I mean. Sorry. Why? Ruach tzvainis yafal achitim. You see, it's good. Thumbs up for wheat. B'shashe viu shlish. Once it has a third, you don't need rain anymore, so that's good. B'kashel zaysim is really bad for the olives. Thumbs down. B'shashe you need to once they pop out. V'ruach d'roimis, and the opposite. Check this out. When it comes from the darim, it's the exact reverse. It's good for the olives, bad for the wheat. Kashel achitim b'shashe viu shlish. V'yol zay b'shashe you need to. V'amar Rabbi Yosef v'yiteimer Rabbi Marzuz v'yiteimer Rabbi Nachman Yitzchak v'simanach shulchan batzafim v'menori b'darim. Check this out. Shulchan does what? It's for the lechem upon him. That is wheat. Bread, wheat. Menorah has olive oil. So, where's the menorah? On the south. So thumbs up. That's, you see, the menorah to remember this. Where's the menorah? On the south. So that's good for olives. The lechem upon him is on the north. That's good for wheat. Now let's just see it in the mizbech real quickly. In the heichal. So it's very small, but over here you could see. Here's the shulchan. What side is it? Tzafan. Here's the menorah. What side is it? Darim. So that's the way to remember this. Ha meravididei, by meravididei. The menorah is good for itself, for oil, bahai, and the shulchan, whatever, is meravididei, brings a wheat or vice versa. Loikash. So we have a contradiction. Is the eastern wind good or bad? On the one hand, it says great. On the other hand, it says terrible. If we're talking about Bavel, the eastern wind that brings a lot of rain is terrible because Bavel doesn't need a lot of rain. It's not good for Bavel. Eretz Yisrael needs a lot of rain, so therefore that's the difference in the prices. If Shavuos has clear sky, it's a great sign for the whole year. The day of Rosh Hashanah, if it's a hot day, the whole year is going to be hot. It says the Rashbam, doesn't mean the whole year, means most of the year. Ikar, in other words, it's a hotter year. Ikar, if it's cold, it's a sign that it's going to be cold. The Hasidim love to say, and I heard this after I said it, somebody said, he heard it from Remailach Biraman, that this Gemara means that if you daven with a varmkeit, with chamimos, then your whole year is going to be varm. And if you're going to be a kalta fish on Rosh Hashanah, then unfortunately maybe you'll have a kalta year. Who cares if it's cold, hot? What nafkamina does it make for us? The kohen gadol has a tefillah. He has to know what to daven for. The turning of the daf is Bercovici Family, the zechus klal Yisrael, and Glenn Esterson, dedicated to Gilad Jacob Israel. Thank you for bringing the daf into my life. Baruch Hashem. Real quickly, we all know that the kohen gadol used to daven that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should not listen to the tefillah of the oivrei derachim, the people that get stuck in the rain. Terrible. The famous question: Klal Yisrael, millions of Yidden daven that it shouldn't rain. That it should rain. I'm sorry, that it should rain. Rain, rain, rain. And one guy is stuck on a trek up a mountain and it's raining and he's going to daven, he's going to ruin it for everybody. How could that be? It's millions against one. No, what's the answer? Now we know the answer. The answer is yes. One person that davens sincerely because he's in huge, huge trouble. Not a guy in shul. Say, tell him what the Bracha. He doesn't even, he has no idea what he's saying even. He doesn't care. Everybody's saying it, so he says it together with them. Did he say it Moimek Halev from the depths of his... No! The guy on the mountain, the guy stuck. Imagine being stuck on a highway and it's torrential rains and you have your mishpacha. What a tefillah, what a tefillah. That tefillah could undo millions of people's tefillah. Huh?
What a tefillah, man. Stuck on a highway in torrential rain. That's what? A tefillah.
A tefillah, a tefillah. Not tefillah, but tefillah. And finally, what we know, the famous shita of Rav Nachman, Mandash Chimera is a derabanan. It's not a Torah halacha. Why? Shemati Torah of Daitei Olav. We're concerned that if you don't listen to him, he's going to lose his mind, literally. Says Reb Zalman Sorotzkin in the Znayim LaTorah, look at people and their taiva that they have for money. This guy is literally on the way to the Beis HaKfaras. They already called the Chaver Kadisha to reserve a spot. He has one foot in the grave, and he's saying with his last breath, he's saying, I want to give this to so-and-so. He's all concerned. And if he thinks for a second that you're not going to give it to so-and-so, poof, his neshama is going to fly out even quicker. Why? Because that's what he has on his mind. To the last minute, all he cares about a person is taivas mammon. What's going to happen to my money this way, that way? Forget about it. I mean, that joke with who left the lights on, he calls his home mishpacha. It's not a joke. That's what he's saying. It's not here. You see it in the Gemara. This is who left the lights on. He calls his home mishpacha. You're all here. And Shane is here. And Malk is here. And Chaya. So why is the light on in the bathroom? Yeah. It's not a joke. Here's the Gemara. Why is the light on in the bathroom? He's dying. Say vidu. Grab a Gemara. Learn one more daf Gemara. No. Is Yankel really going to get it, or they're joking? And if I don't write it down, his neshama is going to go out like that guy in the video. So I state though. The Rav Nachman really say that. It's one of the hard things to understand in Shas. A guy lent somebody else $1 million. So he lent his friend. Reuven is the Malvi, so the loiva owes him $1 million. Reuven goes to his friend in shul and says, "You know so and so. Oh, look what Gershon did. It's faded a little bit, but you don't see it enough. It maybe faded above, faded like that. The nesatim, maybe the nesatim should be faded. That's a good idea.
It's not good.
Leave it down. Nachlos it down. Unesatim becomes white like you did. Leave it like that, not on top of each other. You know what I'm saying? We could try. We're trying here live. 7 years in, and we're finally figuring out how to do a pasuk. So, by the way, Mark was telling me he's doing Masechet Shabbos now. He's like, wow, back then we didn't have Yoshi. It was like this. You gotta redo it. We are gonna redo it. We are. And when we get to here, we're gonna redo this too, because the technology is gonna change and everything. And all the 3 days, we're gonna make the mamish better. Okay. So this is a terrible maisa. What happened there? He sells his $1 million loan to his friend in shul. He says, you know the guy, try to get the $1 million out of him. I'll give you $500,000 for it. Okay, $500,000, he gets $500,000. The minute after he sells the shtar, the malva, the original malva, forgives the whole shtar. But he sold the shtar. So what? The original malva always has the right to forgive. Why? Because the loan, he's the one that gave the loan. The shtar itself is a raya / a lien on property. It's not the loan. The loan is what happened physically. Reuven gave $1 million to Shimon. That's what happened. That you can't sell, you can't get rid of. That's what happened. And Mameli has the right to forgive. Whether you understand it or not, it's not important. We're going weiter. It says, we'll read inside. And he forgave it, even if he sold it. And his son, the son of the Malva, could be Michael. Shmuel agrees. The day of the Shchimera gives it away. The Shchimera son says, you know what? I didn't get the Yerusha. Let me just be Michael. Let me mess up that guy that bought it. That got it. So says Gemara, a very gishmaka thing. We're just going to finish until Omer and finished. If you tell me that the Shchimer has the right to give away something, why? Because it's like a new Yerusha. The new guy got it. Shalom Yisrael. It says, the Torah says it says. But if it's only a D'Rabbanan halacha, that the Shchimer can give away his stuff without writing it down, without making a kinyan, why can't the Yoresh be Moichel? It says right, Midei Reis to be Moichel. So the Gemara says, Eina Shel Torah, no, we're not going to take it back. Shemira is not a D'Oraisa, it's a D'Rabbanan according to Rav Nachman. V'asua kishal Torah, but they made all the rules of the D'Oraisa into this D'Rabbanan. Therefore, the son cannot be Moichel. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.